Slade music. One of the big stories developing tonight are the government being condemned over the massive cost of security for the police killer Dale Cregan, the drug dealer and murderer, jailed for life for 4 murders, including Constables Nicola Hughes and Fiona Bone, 3 attempted murders. It's been disclosed this afternoon that it cost £5 million just to take him from jail to court every day for the period of the trial. Mike Pannett he was a police officer with the Met for 10 years. He has first-hand experience of the murder of police officers. Mike, good evening to you.
Good evening, Paul.
£5 million for the cost of just transporting him from Strangeways in Manchester down the motorway with police helicopters and security vehicles and dummy vehicles that were heading off in different directions to the court in Preston. It's just an incredible amount of money, isn't it?
Well, it's absolutely ludicrous, Paul. But first off, just to reiterate what you've just said there, I think it's fair to remember that there's still, this brutal murderer, Dale Cregan, who, in my opinion, was an absolute coward when he gunned down 2 innocent, unarmed police officers, Fiona Bone and Nicola Hughes. He's been in the headlines all for the wrong reasons, and, here we are talking about him still, but you're absolutely right. I'm really, really cross about over £5 million being spent on transporting him from a high security prison in Manchester to the courthouse at Preston. There really needs to be some really strong questioning of the Ministry of Justice here and the Home Office and indeed the Home Secretary. Money is really short. Police officers are struggling. There's a cost of over £2 million to Lancashire, nearly £1 million to Manchester GMP Police, and nearly £2 million to the Home Office to get this chap 70 miles every day for nearly 4 months. And, we really need to start thinking about common sense. We need to be looking at, what on earth, the reason I believe that he wouldn't, put Cregan in Preston prison is because it was the wrong category. Well, to me, I would have changed the category temporarily, even if it was in one part of the prison, and put armed guards in there to cut down on the actual cost. Yeah,
surely you could have isolated him in a certain area rather than transporting him 70 miles on a day-by-day basis. And we're in a technological world, and here we are with now a convicted mass murderer, drug dealer, who is transported by road at a cost of £5 million every day. What's wrong with video technology? Why can't they do it that way?
Well, we have got video technology. It's been used successfully before, and it needs to be used. In this case, it should have jolly well been used, to be honest, Paul. What the trouble is, though, is there's that many people up at the sort of people who make the decisions that between the lot of them, it ends up not being able to make a decision, and the lack of common sense would have said to me on this very case is, do we really want to be spending millions of pounds in transporting somebody back and forth this 70-mile journey? Now, if it had been the case of, we're very traditionalist in this country, one day perhaps at the beginning of the trial, because we all know what Cregan's game was right through the whole of the trial, and he got what he wanted, unfortunately. But 4 months down the line, I'd have had him in for day one, and then once the trial had ended and he'd pleaded guilty and he was, he was there for sentencing, put him back in. But really, common sense has just let down. And not to mention, the amount of police officers, some 150 plus police officers used in the transportation over the 4-week period, and valuable resources like the police helicopter every day who was travelling, and the huge inconvenience to decent members of the public.
Well, there's a row developing tonight because the police are saying that they asked this organisation called the National Offender Management Service to reclassify Preston Prison as a high-security jail to hold him during the trial, and they refused.
Well, they came back with some absolutely bizarre figures. They were talking about upwards of £10 million of making some kind of conversion. Well, hang on a minute. £10 million to start converting things. Like I've said, common sense should have prevailed. They should have found a secure part of Preston Prison at the very least. And I'm absolutely convinced that between the 2 police crime commissioners and chief constables of GMP and Lancashire, it would have been far more cost effective to have put armed guards in there and then it's the short trip to get from, Preston Prison to Preston Crown Court. But like I say, I reiterate again, I have dealt on a murder department, squad in London, and I won't go into the details. But during that, investigation, another police officer died during the course of our investigation. Now, what would have been absolutely tragedy is if anybody within the policing service escorting Cregan to prison every day, or members of the public had in fact been caught up with an accident on what would have been a difficult journey each time, then that would have been absolutely tragedy, and there would have been people who would have really had to be hauled in front of Keith Vaz answering why the common sense didn't prevail yet again. And we've got to start using, it's like with all policing and everything else, you were top of your hour, you were talking about mental health issues. I know that's another subject, but we really have to start looking at being smart in the way we operate, and especially with money being tight. £5 million would have gone a long way to fighting crime in GMP and in Lancashire.
There's a quick email here, and the big issue, I suppose, or one of them is, was there any real serious chance of Cregan being, trying to be sort of rescued from this police van, because so much security taking him from the Strangeways jail to the court? Was he were they in any danger of somebody trying to spring him? But Ian says, would it not be cheaper next time to employ some newly redundant soldiers? They could use a couple of ex-MOD snatched Land Rovers, maybe tongue-in-cheek there, but...
I know exactly what you're saying, but look, we're a very traditionalist country, and that's absolutely right and proper. We've got a certain way of doing things, which is absolutely right and proper. But when it comes to money being tight now, as it is, and something which could have been handled, in my opinion, far quicker and far more cost-effective, like I'm saying, armed guards, it's probably, not so much as, to be honest, there's plenty of people out there will be absolutely... there's rules in any gang, there's rules, in this country, and Cregan broke them all in every single account. So whether people would have tried to spring him, well, I again, that would be an intelligence issue, but I would suggest, there's plenty of people out there that would like to have a word with Dale Cregan over what his cowardly attack resulted in.
Mike Pannett, who was a police officer with the Met. Mike, good to have you on the show tonight. You'll probably read more about it tomorrow. A major rout, taxpayers' money, £5 million being spent just taking this individual to and from court. Long break.